The silence in space was broken only by the soft hum of dying machines. Commander Veltar pressed his long fingers against the control panel, watching the numbers drop lower and lower. Power levels at 12%. Life support failing. His ship, the Gentle Current, floated helplessly in the cold darkness between stars. 3 days ago, everything had been normal. His crew of 42 scientists and explorers had been studying the mineral composition of asteroids in this quiet sector of space. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for their peaceful research. They had no weapons, no military training, and no enemies, or so they had thought. The attack came without warning. Black ships appeared from nowhere, their hulls covered in spikes and scars. The Korthak raiders had surrounded the Gentle Current before anyone could react. Energy beams cut through the research vessel's shields like paper. The raiders disabled the engines first, then the weapon systems that barely existed anyway. Veltar remembered the voice of the Korthak leader, harsh and filled with cruel laughter. "Surrender your cargo and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and we will space you all." The Zephyrians had no choice. They were herbivores, evolved from gentle grazing animals on a world with thick air and low gravity. Their bones were hollow like birds, their skin thin and easily torn. They had never learned to fight because they had never needed to. The Korthak took everything of value: food, water, medical supplies, and the rare minerals they had collected. Worst of all, they took the main power core, leaving the ship to die slowly in the void. The raiders laughed as they left, saying they would return in a few days to collect any useful scrap metal. Now Veltar watched his people dying one by one. Dr. Kyrillin, their communications officer, had been working for hours to send a distress signal. She was young for a Zephyrian, only 60 years old, with the pale blue skin and large dark eyes of her people. Her hands shook as she connected wires and rerouted power from failing systems. "Commander," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I can boost the signal using the last of our emergency power. But once I do, we will have maybe 6 hours of life support left."
Veltar nodded slowly. Around them, other crew members lay on the floor, too weak to move.
The ship's Dr. Medallin was treating injuries with supplies he had hidden from the raiders. But without proper medicine, many would not survive much longer. "Send the signal," Veltar ordered. "If there are any civilized beings listening, they must know what happened here." Skirillon pressed the activation key. The distress beacon began broadcasting across multiple frequencies, sending their location and a plea for help into the vast emptiness of space. The message was simple. "This is the Zephyrian vessel Gentle Current. We are dying. Please help us." The signal traveled at the speed of light, reaching across star systems toward any ship that might be listening. Most spacefaring races monitored emergency frequencies, but the Zephyrians were far from the normal shipping lanes. Their chances of rescue were small. On the third planet of a yellow star, 27 light-years away, Lieutenant Jake Morrison sat in front of a wall of screens and speakers. The Arecibo listening post had been monitoring deep space communications for over a century. Most of the time, Jake heard nothing but static and the background radiation of the universe. Jake was young, maybe 25 years old, with brown hair and tired eyes. He had been working the night shift for 2 years, listening to the silence between stars. His job was to watch for signals from other worlds. But Earth had never made official contact with alien life. At 0347 hours, the speakers crackled with something new. Jake sat up straight, adjusting the controls to clear the signal. Through the static, he heard a voice speaking in a language he had never heard before. But the computer systems had been programmed to recognize basic galactic standard, the common language used by most spacefaring races. "This is Zephyrian vessel. Help us, dying." Jake's heart pounded as he recorded the transmission. He had dreamed of this moment his entire life. First contact with an alien civilization. But this was not the peaceful greeting he had imagined. This was a desperate cry for help. He grabbed his phone and called a superior officer, Captain Lisa. Hammond answered on the first ring, her voice sharp and alert despite the early hour. "Captain, this is Morrison at Arecibo." I have something you need to hear right now. Lisa Hammond was a veteran of the space program, one of the few people on Earth who had always believed they would eventually encounter alien life. She had gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and steel-gray eyes that missed nothing. When she heard the recording, she was already reaching for her secure communication device. "Get me Admiral Stevens at Space Command," she ordered. Priority 1. Within an hour, the recording was being analyzed by the best linguists and scientists on Earth. The translation was rough, but the message was clear. A ship full of peaceful aliens was dying in space, attacked by someone called the Korthak. Commander Rick Torres received the emergency call while he was having breakfast with his wife and 2 children. He was a career military officer, a man who had spent 30 years preparing for humanity's first contact with alien life. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair and calm brown eyes that had seen combat on 3 different continents. "I have to go," he told his family, kissing his wife goodbye. "This is what we have been training for." The Defiant Spirit was humanity's most advanced spacecraft, built for deep space exploration and rescue missions. It carried a crew of 50, including scientists, engineers, doctors, and Marines. The ship was armed with the latest human weapons technology, though no one knew if it would be effective against alien threats. Chief Engineer Amy Collins was already at work when Torres arrived at the launch facility. She was a small woman with red hair and oil-stained hands, but she knew every system on the ship better than anyone else. She was pushing the engines beyond their normal limits, trying to squeeze every bit of speed from the faster-than-light. "Drive how long to reach them?" Torres asked. "For days if we push hard," Amy replied. But Commander, we do not know what we will find when we get there. This could be a trap." Dr. Ben Parker, the ship's medical officer, was preparing the medical bay for unknown alien physiology. He was a thin man with gentle hands and worried eyes. Had studied every theoretical model of alien biology, but he had never treated a real alien patient. "We have to try," Torres said. "If we were dying in space, we would want someone to help us." The launch sequence began at dawn. The Defiant Spirit lifted off from Earth orbit, its engines glowing bright blue as it accelerated toward the stars. The crew knew they were making history, but they also knew they might be flying into danger. In the communications room, Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez monitored the alien distress signal as it grew weaker. He was a young officer with dark hair and quick hands, trained in both human and theoretical alien communication systems. Each hour that passed meant the aliens were closer to death. "Signal strength is dropping," he reported to Torres. "They're running out of power, and we better hurry," Torres replied. "Set course for the coordinates and engage maximum speed." The Defiant Spirit jumped to faster-than-light travel, disappearing from Earth's solar system in a flash of twisted space-time. Behind them, the planet that had given birth to humanity continued its ancient rotation, unaware that its children were about to change the galaxy forever in the dying ship. Kyralyn watched the power levels drop to critical. Her people were unconscious now, their breathing shallow and weak. The distress signal was barely functioning. She wondered if anyone had heard their call for help, or if they would die alone in the darkness between stars. She did not know that. Help was coming. She did not know that the beings who had heard their signal were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. She did not know that humanity had arrived in space, and that everything was about to change. The Defiant Spirit dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue energy. Commander Rick Torres stood on the bridge, watching the stars shift back into their normal positions. After 4 days of hard travel, they had finally reached the coordinates from the alien distress signal. Scanning for the alien vessel, Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez reported from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls, adjusting sensors to search the dark space around them. "I am picking up a large object, 3,000 kilometers. To port, Torres turned to look at the main screen. A battered ship appeared in the distance, its hull scarred and blackened. Pieces of metal floated around it like a cloud of debris. The vessel was unlike anything humans had ever built, with smooth curves and elegant lines that spoke of a peaceful purpose. "That has to be them," Torres said. "Any signs of life?" "Minimal power readings," Rodriguez replied. "But I am detecting atmosphere inside. Someone might still be alive." Chief Engineer Amy Collins studied the damage reports flowing across her screen. The alien ship had been hit by energy weapons, the same kind of directed plasma beams that human military theorists had predicted hostile aliens might use. Large sections of the hull were missing, and the engine compartments were completely destroyed. "They are not going anywhere on their own," Amy said. "Whoever did this knew exactly where to hit them." Dr. Ben Parker was already preparing his medical team for the rescue operation. He had spent the journey studying the limited information they had about Zephyrian biology. The aliens were oxygen breathers like humans, but they had evolved on a world with thicker atmosphere and lighter gravity. Their bones were hollow, their skin was thin, and they were much more fragile than humans. "We need to be very careful," Ben told his team. "These beings could be seriously injured by impacts that would barely hurt us." Communications officer Karen White was trying to establish contact with the alien ship. She was a young woman with blonde hair and patient blue eyes, trained in multiple human languages and theoretical alien communication protocols. She had been working for hours to reach the survivors. "This is the human vessel Defiant Spirit." She broadcasts on the frequency the aliens had used for their distress signal. "We received your call for help. Please respond if you can hear us." For long minutes there was only silence. Then, through the static, came a weak voice speaking in halting Galactic standard. "Human vessel. This is Dr. Kyrillin of the Gentle. Current, we ... We are dying. Please help us." The bridge fell silent. This was it. First contact between humans and aliens. But instead of celebration, there was only urgency. People were dying, and it did not matter what species they were. "Dr. Kyrillon, this is Commander Torres of the Defiant Spirit. We are here to help you." "How many survivors do you have?" 18 still alive," came the weak reply. "Many injured, power failing, maybe 2 hours of life support left." Torres turned to his crew. "Amy, can we dock with their ship?" The engineer shook her head. "Their docking ports are too damaged. We'll have to use the emergency airlocks and cut through their hull." "Then we do it the hard way," Torres decided. "Ben, prepare your medical team. Karen, keep talking to them. Let them know we are coming." The rescue operation began immediately. Human engineers in powered suits flew across the gap between the ships, carrying cutting tools and emergency equipment. The lead engineer, Sergeant Tony Martinez, was a veteran of orbital construction work. He was built like a tank, with dark hair and steady hands that never shook, even in the most dangerous situations. "Beginning hull breach," Tony reported over the radio. "The metal is softer than expected. Cutting through now." Inside the alien ship, Kyrillin watched the human rescue team work through a small window. She had never seen beings like these before. They were larger than Zephyrians, with thick bones and heavy muscles. They moved with confidence in the vacuum of space, unafraid of the dangers that would terrify her people. "They are cutting through our hull," she told Commander Veltar, who was lying on the floor nearby. He was badly injured, his left arm broken, and his breathing shallow. "The humans are actually coming to help us." Veltar could barely speak. Why would they risk their lives for strangers? It was a question that would puzzle the Zephyrians for a long time. In their peaceful society, such selfless acts were rare. Family groups helped each other, and close friends might share resources. But risking death for complete strangers from another species was almost unthinkable. The human rescue team broke through the hull with a shower of sparks. Tony Martinez was the first through the breach, his suit lights cutting through the darkness. Inside the alien ship, what he saw made him pause. The aliens were small and delicate, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They lay scattered across the floor, some unconscious, others barely moving. Their ship was filled with art and scientific instruments, but there were no weapons anywhere to be seen. "Medical team, get in here now," Tony called. "These people are in bad shape." Dr. Ben Parker and his team entered the alien ship carrying portable life support equipment and emergency medical supplies. Ben had to adjust his movements carefully to avoid accidentally injuring the fragile aliens. Their bones were so light that a gentle touch from a human could cause serious damage. Commander Veltar, Ben said, kneeling beside the injured alien leader. "I am Dr. Parker. We are here to help you." Veltar looked up at the human doctor with wonder. Ben was not particularly large by human standards, but to the Zephyrian, he seemed like a giant. Yet his touch was gentle, his voice kind. "Your people." "Why do you help us?" Veltar whispered. "'Cause you needed help," Ben replied simply. "That is reason enough." The medical team worked quickly to stabilize the most seriously injured aliens. They had to improvise, adapting human medical equipment to work with alien physiology. Some of the injuries were severe: broken bones, internal bleeding, and severe dehydration. But the humans worked with the same dedication they would show for their own species. Meanwhile, Amy Collins and her engineering team were trying to restore power to the alien ship. The main generator was completely destroyed. They were able to jury-rig a connection to the Defiant spirit's power system. Lights flickered on throughout the gentle current for the first time in days. "Life support is back online," Amy reported. "We can maintain atmosphere for as long as needed." Dr. Kyrillin was one of the few aliens still conscious and able to communicate. She watched the humans work with growing amazement. They moved with purpose and efficiency, but they were also incredibly gentle with her injured people. Of the human medics accidentally bumped into her, he immediately apologized and asked if she was hurt. "I do not understand," she said to Karen White, who was helping to coordinate the rescue. "Why are your people so kind to us? We are not your species. We cannot repay this debt." Karen smiled. "On Earth, we have a saying. We are all travelers on the same road. When someone falls down, you help them up. It does not matter who they are." So rescue operation continued for 6 hours. The humans worked without rest, moving the injured aliens to the medical bay of the Defiant spirit. Dr. Parker and his team performed emergency surgery using techniques they had never tried before. Some of the aliens were so badly hurt that they would have died without immediate treatment. Commander Torres stood on the bridge, watching his crew work. He felt proud of them, but also worried. The aliens had been attacked by someone called the Korthak, and those attackers might return. The Defiant spirit was armed, but no one knew how effective human weapons would be against alien technology. "Commander," Rodriguez called from his station. "I am picking up multiple contacts approaching from the outer system. Large ships, moving fast." Torres felt his stomach tighten. "How many?" "At least 6 vessels. They will be here in 4 hours." Torres activated the ship's communication system. "All hands, this is the commander. We have hostile contacts approaching. Prepare for possible combat operations. Continue the rescue mission, but be ready to defend this ship and our guests." In the medical bay, Dr. Kyrillin heard the announcement. She struggled to sit up, her large eyes filled with fear. "The Korthak are returning," she whispered. "They will kill us all." "Not while we are here," Ben Parker said firmly. "You are under our protection now." Kyrillin looked at the human doctor with wonder. She was beginning to understand that these beings were different from any species she had ever encountered. They were willing to fight and die for people they had just met. It was a concept that would change everything she thought she knew about the universe. The stage was set for humanity's first battle in space. The peaceful Zephyrians would soon learn what it meant to be protected by a species that had evolved on a world where only the strong survived. The Korthak raiders were about to discover that they had made a terrible mistake. The rescue mission had become something much more dangerous, and the humans would not back down. The Korthak raiding fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a pack of hungry wolves. 6 massive warships appeared in the darkness, their black holes covered in spikes and weapon ports. Captain Zargoth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Blood Fang, watching the scanner displays with cruel satisfaction. "The prey ship is still there," his tactical officer reported. "But there is another vessel nearby. Unknown configuration." Zargoth was a typical Korthak warrior, tall and muscular, with gray skin and razor-sharp teeth. His people had conquered dozens of worlds through fear and violence. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not use. The weak existed only to serve the strong, and the Korthak were the strongest of all. "Scan the new ship," Zargoth ordered. "I want to know what we are dealing with." The Korthak had never encountered humans before, but they were not impressed by what they saw. The Defiant spirit was smaller than any of their warships, and its design looked primitive compared to their advanced technology. The newcomers were probably just another weak species trying to play hero. "The new ship appears to be a rescue vessel," the tactical officer reported. "Light armament, small crew. They are probably here to help the Zephyrians." Zargoth laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Another species of prey. We will take their ship as well. Send them a surrender demand." On the Defiant spirit, Commander Torres received the Korthak message with grim determination. The alien voice was filled with arrogance and cruelty, demanding immediate surrender. The Korthak wanted both ships and all crew members as slaves. "This is Commander Rick Torres of the human vessel Defiant Spirit," he replied calmly. "You have attacked innocent beings under our protection. You have one chance to withdraw peacefully." The bridge of the Bloodfang fell silent. The Korthak warriors looked at each other in disbelief. No prey species had ever spoken to them like that. Most races begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. This human was actually threatening them. "Did he just give us an ultimatum?" the tactical officer asked. Zargoth's eyes glowed with rage. "Destroy them. Kill them all." The Korthak fleet began to move forward, their weapons charging for battle. They expected an easy victory against this small, primitive ship. They had no idea what they were about to face. In the medical bay of the Defiant Spirit, Dr. Kyrillin watched the human crew preparing for battle. She had never seen anything like it. The humans moved with calm efficiency, checking weapons and equipment with practiced ease. There was no panic, no fear, only grim determination. "They are going to fight," she whispered to Commander Veltar, who was lying on a nearby medical bed. "The humans are going to fight 6 warships to protect us." Veltar could barely believe. They will all die. Why would they do this?" Dr. Ben Parker overheard the conversation as he checked on his alien patients. "Because it is the right thing to do," he said simply. "You are innocent people. We will not let them hurt you." The Zephyrians watched in amazement as the humans prepared for war. Marine Sergeant Tony Martinez was loading weapons and checking armor. His face was set in hard lines, but his hands were steady. He had fought in conflicts on Earth, but this would be his first battle in space. "Lock and load, people," he told his squad. "We have got company coming, and they do not look friendly." Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez was at the tactical station, coordinating the ship's defensive systems. The Defiant Spirit was not a warship, but it carried the best weapons humanity could build. Plasma cannons, missile launchers, and point defense systems all came online. "Enemy fleet is approaching," Rodriguez reported. "They are spreading out to surround us." Chief Engineer Amy Collins was in the engine room, pushing the power systems to their limits. She had rerouted energy from life support and other non-essential systems to feed the weapons. Her red hair was damp with sweat as she worked frantically to give the ship every advantage. "I can give you full power for maybe 20 minutes, she reported to Torres. "After that, we will start burning out systems." 20 minutes will have to be enough, Torres replied. He opened a channel to the entire ship. "All hands, this is the commander. We are outnumbered 6-1, but we have something they do not. We fight for something greater than ourselves. We fight to protect the innocent. Show them what humans can do." Yes. The first Korthak ship opened fire, sending a barrage of energy beams toward the Defiant Spirit. Rodriguez activated the point defense, systems shooting down some of the incoming fire. The rest struck the human ship's shields, causing them to flare with bright energy. "Shields at 80%, Rodriguez reported. "Minor damage to the outer hull." Torres smiled grimly. "Return fire. Show them we bite back." The Defiant Spirit's weapons opened up with devastating effect. New plasma cannons were designed to penetrate the heaviest armor, and the Korthak had not expected such powerful weapons on a rescue ship. The lead raider's shields collapsed under the barrage, and explosions rippled across its hull. "Impossible," Zargoth snarled. "How can a primitive ship hit so hard?" His tactical officer was studying the combat data with growing concern. "Captain, their weapons are more advanced than expected, and their targeting systems are incredibly accurate." The battle became a deadly dance in the darkness of space. Korthak ships tried to use their numbers to overwhelm the single human vessel. But Torres and his crew fought with a skill that shocked their enemies. Rodriguez coordinated the weapons with surgical precision, hitting weak points in the alien ship's armor. Amy Collins had jury-rigged additional weapons from the ship's mining equipment, turning industrial lasers into makeshift cannons. The Korthak found themselves facing firepower they had never encountered before. "Another ship is breaking up," Rodriguez reported as explosions tore through a Korthak raider. "That is 2 down for to go." But the battle was taking its toll on the humans. As well, the Defiant spirit shuddered under repeated hits, and sparks flew from damaged control panels. Several crew members were injured, but they kept fighting with wounds that would have stopped most species. Dr. Kyrillon watched through the medical bay's viewport as the battle raged around them. She saw human crew members working at their stations, with blood running down their faces, never giving up even when they were hurt. It was like nothing she had ever imagined. "They are like warriors from the old stories," she whispered to Veltar. "The legends our people tell about the heroes of ancient times." The Korthak were beginning to panic. It expected an easy victory, but the humans were fighting with a ferocity that defied belief. When the shields of the Defiant spirit finally failed, the human crew switched to emergency power and kept fighting. Sergeant Martinez led a boarding party onto a damaged Korthak ship that had drifted too close. The Marines fought their way through the alien corridors, engaging in hand-to-hand combat with the Korthak warriors. The sight of humans fighting with knives and rifle butts when their ammunition ran out sent terror through the raider crews. "Fight like demons," one Korthak warrior reported before his communication was cut off. "They do not fear death." Captain Zargoth watched his fleet being destroyed by a single human ship. 3 of his raiders were dead, and a 4th was crippled. His own ship was taking heavy damage, and his crew was beginning to lose their nerve. "Captain, we should retreat," his tactical officer suggested. "These humans are not like other prey species." Zargoth roared with rage, but he knew the officer was right. The humans fought with a combination of advanced technology and savage determination that his people had never encountered. They were willing to die to protect strangers, and that made them more dangerous than any enemy the Korthak had ever faced. "All ships withdraw," he ordered reluctantly. "We will remember this day." The surviving Korthak ships jumped to hyperspace, leaving the battlefield littered with debris and the bodies of their dead. The humans had won, but at a cost. The Defiant spirit was badly damaged. Several crew members were seriously injured. On the bridge, Torres surveyed the damage reports. The ship was hurt, but it was still functional. More importantly, they had saved the Zephyrians and sent a message to the galaxy that humanity would not tolerate the slaughter of innocents. "Status report," he called. 3 enemy ships destroyed, 1 crippled, 2 fled, Rodriguez reported. "Our casualties are light, but we have significant damage to the hull and power systems." In the medical bay, Dr. Kyrillon looked at the human crew with new eyes. These beings had risked everything to save her people. They had fought against impossible odds and won through sheer determination and skill. "I understand now," she said to Dr. Parker. "You are not just another species. You are something the galaxy has never seen before." Parker smiled tiredly as he treated a wounded crew member. "We are just humans doing what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." The battle was over, but its consequences would echo throughout the galaxy. Word would spread of the species that had defeated the Korthak raiders, the beings who fought like demons to protect the innocent. The universe was about to learn what it meant to have humanity as its guardian. The silence after battle was strange and heavy. Commander Torres stood on the bridge of the Defiant spirit, watching repair crews work on the damaged systems. Sparks flew from broken control panels, and the smell of burned circuits filled the air. But they were alive, and more importantly, the Zephyrians were safe. Dr. Kyrillon floated in the medical bay, her large dark eyes fixed on the human crew members around her. 3 days had passed since the battle, and she was still trying to understand what she had witnessed. The humans had fought with a violence that terrified her, but they had also shown incredible kindness to her people. "I do not understand your species," she said to Dr. Ben Parker as he checked her injuries. "How can you be so gentle and so deadly at the same time?"
Ow.
Ben paused in his work, considering her question. "We learned to be both," he said finally. "Our world taught us that sometimes you must fight to protect what you love." Commander Veltar was sitting up in his medical bed, his broken arm healing slowly. He had been watching the humans work for days, and each observation brought new questions. These beings moved with purpose and efficiency, but they also laughed and told stories. They mourned their dead but celebrated their victories. "Your people are warriors," he said to Torres during one of the commander's visits to the medical bay. "But you are also healers and builders. How is this possible?" Torres sat down carefully beside the alien's bed. "Tell me about your world," he said. "What was it like?" Veltar's eyes grew distant. Zephyria was a peaceful place. Its thick atmosphere, gentle gravity, no large predators. Our ancestors grazed in vast herds, protected by the herd itself. We learned to cooperate, to share resources. To avoid conflict, violence was unnecessary. "Earth was different," Torres said. "Our world tried to kill us every day. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, storms, and predators everywhere. Big cats, bears, wolves, snakes. The weather wanted us dead." The Zephyrians listened with growing horror as Torres described humanity's homeworld, a planet where survival meant constant struggle, where the weak died and only the strong lived to reproduce. It sounded like a nightmare to beings who had evolved in safety. "But that is terrible," Kyrillin whispered. "How did your people survive?" "We learned to work together," Torres explained. "One human alone could not survive, but a group of humans could kill anything. We developed tools, weapons, strategies. We became the most dangerous predators on our world." "And yet you help us," Veltar said, confusion clear in his voice. "You risk your lives for strangers." Torres smiled. "Yes, we also learned that survival is not just about being strong. It is about protecting your family, your tribe, your people. When we saw you in danger, you became our people too." The conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Rodriguez calling from the bridge. "Commander, we are receiving multiple transmissions from across the galaxy. Word of the battle is spreading." Torres excused himself and hurried to the communications center. Karen White was monitoring dozens of channels, her face pale with shock. "Sir, everyone is talking about us. The story is traveling faster than we expected." The first transmission was from the Altarian Republic, a peaceful trading confederation. Their ambassador's voice was filled with amazement and hope. "We have heard of your victory over the Korthak raiders. For generations, they have terrorized our shipping lanes. We wish to know more about your people."
Oh!
Another message came from the Centauri Alliance, a group of scientific worlds. "The Zephyrians have told us of your rescue mission. We are grateful. For your protection of our colleagues, we offer our knowledge in exchange for your friendship." But not all the messages were friendly. The hegemony of Sarn, a militaristic empire, sent a different kind of transmission. "You have interfered with the natural order. The weak should serve the strong. We will not tolerate this disruption." Amy Collins was working in the engine room when she made a disturbing discovery. While repairing the damage from the battle, she had found fragments of Korthak weapons embedded in the hull. The technology was more advanced than it should have. "Ben, Commander," she called Torres over the intercom. "You need to see this." Torres found Amy in the workshop, studying pieces of alien metal and circuitry. Her tools were spread across the table, and her face was grim. "These weapon fragments are not pure Korthak technology," she said. "Look at this power coupling. The design is too sophisticated for what we know about their capabilities." Torres examined the device. Even to his untrained eye, it looked advanced, beyond what the Korthak raiders should have possessed. "What are you saying? Someone else is supplying them with weapons," Amy concluded. "The Korthak might be working for a more advanced species. This could be just the beginning. The implications were troubling. If the Korthak were merely foot soldiers for a larger empire, then the peaceful species of the galaxy faced a much greater threat than anyone had realized. The humans had won one battle. They might have attracted the attention of something much more dangerous. Dr. Parker was in his laboratory, studying blood samples from the injured Korthak prisoners they had taken during the boarding action. The results were disturbing. The aliens showed signs of genetic modification, an enhancement that made them stronger and more aggressive than their natural state. "They have been changed," he reported to Torres. "Someone has been altering their biology to make them better warriors. This is not natural evolution." Meanwhile, on the bridge, Rodriguez was tracking unusual subspace signals. "Commander, I am detecting long-range communications from deep space. Someone is coordinating fleet movements in sectors we have never explored." The pieces were coming together to form a frightening picture. The Korthak raids were not random attacks by independent pirates. They were part of a larger strategy, coordinated by an unknown enemy that was using the raiders to test the defenses of peaceful worlds. Kyrillin had been listening to the human discussions with growing fear. Her people had always believed they lived in a safe galaxy, protected by distance and their own peaceful nature. The idea that some vast empire was conquering worlds and enslaving populations was almost too terrible to comprehend. "What will you do?" she asked Torres during another visit to the medical bay. "If there is a larger threat, will you fight them too?" Torres was quiet for a long moment. "Kyrillin, I need you to understand something about humans. We do not start fights, but we finish them. If there is an empire out there enslaving peaceful worlds, then yes, we will fight them." "But you are just one species," Veltar protested. "How can you stand against an entire empire?" "The same way we stood against the Korthak," Torres replied. "Together, we will not be alone. I have been talking to the other species who contacted us. Many of them want to help." The truth was that Torres was worried. The Defiant spirit was just one ship, and humanity was still new to space travel. They had advanced technology and the will to fight, but they were vastly outnumbered. If a major empire decided to move against them, the outcome was uncertain. But he also knew something about human nature that the aliens did not yet understand. When humans were threatened, they did not surrender. They adapted, they learned, and they fought back with everything they had. It was what had made them the dominant species on Earth, and it was what would make them dangerous enemies in space. 3 weeks after the battle, the first alien diplomats arrived at Earth. The Zephyrians came first, of course with Kyrillin serving as their ambassador. She had spent the journey studying human culture and history, trying to understand these strange beings who had saved her people. The Altarian Republic sent a trade delegation, offering advanced technology in exchange for human protection of their shipping routes. The Centauri Alliance wanted to share scientific knowledge. Even some of the minor military powers were interested in forming alliances, but the most significant visitor was Ambassador Thielen of the Galactic Council, the closest thing to a central government that existed in this region of space. He was an ancient being from a species that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. "Your people have caused quite a stir," he told Torres during their first meeting. "Some see you as saviors. Others view you as a threat to the established order." "We are what we need to be," Torres replied. "Protectors of the innocent, enemies of those who prey on the weak." Thielen studied the human commander with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. "You may get your chance to prove that sooner than you think. The signals your people detected are real. Something is moving in the outer territories, something that makes the Korthak look like children playing with toys." The meeting ended with humanity officially joining the Galactic Council, not as conquerors or subjects, but as protectors. Was a role that would define their place in the galaxy for generations to come, as the various alien delegations prepared to leave Earth. Kyrillin stood with Torres on the observation deck of the space station. Through the transparent walls, they could see the blue marble of humanity's homeworld turning slowly in the void. "Your people will change everything," she said quietly. "The galaxy will never be the same." Torres nodded, watching the stars beyond. Earth's atmosphere. Change is not always bad. Sometimes the old ways need to be challenged. 6 months had passed since the battle with the Korthak raiders, and the galaxy was a different place. Admiral Rick Torres stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Guardian Shield, watching a fleet of human and alien ships moving through space together. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something much larger: the Guardians. SHIELD was twice the size of the old Defiant Spirit, built with the combined knowledge of a dozen species. Zephyrian scientists had provided advanced SHIELD technology, while Altarian engineers had helped design better weapons systems. The ship represented what the galaxy could accomplish when different species worked together. "Incoming transmission from the Centauri system," reported Captain Jake Morrison, who had been promoted from his old job at the listening post. "The mining colony on Centauri 7 is under attack." Torres felt the familiar tightness in his chest. Even with a growing fleet of protector ships, they could not be everywhere at once. The galaxy was vast, and the enemies of peace were spreading their attacks across multiple star systems. "How many ships do we have in that sector?" Torres asked. "Valiant Dawn is 3 hours away," Morrison replied. "Captain Lisa Hammond is commanding." "Tell her to engage immediately," Torres ordered. "We will jump to hyperspace as backup." This had become the pattern of their lives. Distress calls from peaceful worlds, desperate battles against raiders and slavers, and the constant struggle to protect innocent people across the galaxy. The humans had become exactly what the universe needed: guardians who would answer any call for help. Dr. Kyrillin was now serving as the official ambassador between the Zephyrian Republic and the human government. She had spent months on Earth, learning about human culture and helping her people understand their strange new allies. The experience had changed her in ways she was still discovering. "The council meeting is ready to begin," she told Torres as they walked through the corridors of the Guardian's Shield. "Representatives from 18 different species are waiting." The ship's main conference room had been designed to accommodate beings of many different sizes and atmospheric needs. Zephyrians sat next to heavily armored Chronon warriors, while the gas-breathing ethereals communicated through translation devices. All of them had one thing in common: they had been saved. By human intervention? "Friends," Torres began, addressing the assembled aliens, "we face a new threat. Our intelligence sources confirm that the hegemony of Sarn is moving a massive fleet toward the inner systems. They intend to conquer or destroy every peaceful world in their path." The news sent murmurs of fear through the assembled delegates. The hegemony was an ancient empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds through superior technology and ruthless tactics. They viewed peaceful species as weak and worthy only of slavery or death. Commander Veltar, now fully recovered from his injuries, spoke for the Zephyrian delegation. "How can we fight such a powerful enemy? The hegemony has weapons we have never seen before." "The same way we have always fought," Torres replied. "Together, united with courage and determination." But Torres knew the truth was more complicated. The hegemony fleet was enormous, containing thousands of warships and millions of soldiers. Even with all their allies, the humans were vastly outnumbered. Victory would require more than just courage. It would require sacrifice. Captain Amy Collins had been promoted to head of fleet engineering, coordinating the construction of new ships and weapon systems. She stood at a massive holographic display showing the enemy fleet movements. The hegemony was advancing on multiple fronts, systematically destroying resistance and enslaving entire populations. "They are not just conquering worlds," she reported. "To the Council, they are taking prisoners, millions of them. They think they are building a slave army for an even larger invasion." The implications were terrifying. The hegemony was not just another group of raiders. They were preparing for a war that would consume the entire galaxy. Every peaceful world would be a target, every innocent being a potential slave. Dr. Ben Parker had been studying captured hegemony technology, trying to understand their capabilities. What he found was disturbing. The enemy had weapons that could destroy entire planets. Their soldiers were enhanced with biological modifications that made them nearly indestructible. "They have been preparing for this war for centuries," he told Torres in private. "This is not a random conquest. They have a plan, and we are not ready for what they can do." But Torres had learned something important about human nature during his months as a protector. When faced with impossible odds, humans did not surrender. They adapted. They found new ways to fight, new strategies to win, and new allies to help. Them. Send a message to every human ship in the fleet, he ordered. Tell them to prepare for the largest battle in galactic history. Send word to Earth. We need every ship, every weapon, every person who can fight. The response from humanity was immediate and overwhelming. Civilian ships were converted into military vessels, industrial facilities were retooled to produce weapons, and volunteers lined up to join the fleet. The entire human race was mobilizing for war, but the most surprising support came from unexpected sources. The Kronan warriors, who had been neutral in most conflicts, declared their intention to fight alongside the humans. The peaceful ethereals offered their advanced technology. Even some former enemies joined the alliance, recognizing that the hegemony threatened everyone. We have never seen anything like this, Ambassador Thielen of the Galactic Council told Torres during a private meeting. Your species has united the galaxy in a way we thought impossible. Even the most isolationist races are offering help. Fear has a way of bringing people together, Torres replied. But so does hope. We have shown them that evil can be defeated. The final battle began in the Sigma Draconis system, where the hegemony fleet met the combined forces of the Galactic Alliance. The enemy brought 5,000 warships, including massive dreadnoughts that could destroy entire fleets. The Alliance had half as many ships, but they had something the hegemony lacked: the will to fight for others. Torres commanded the battle from the Guardian's shield, coordinating attacks from dozens of different species. Human ships fought alongside. Zephyrian research vessels converted into weapons platforms. Kronan warriors boarded enemy ships while ethereal technology disrupted hegemony communications. The battle lasted for 3 days and nights, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Ships burned in the void, heroes died at their posts, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. But slowly, gradually, the Alliance began to push back the enemy. The turning point came when Captain Lisa Hammond led a desperate attack on the hegemony command ship. The Valiant Dawn was badly damaged, and her crew was exhausted, but they fought their way through the enemy defenses to strike at the heart of their fleet. All ships. This is Hammond. Her voice crackled over the communications system. We are going in. If we do not make it, tell my family I died protecting innocent people. The Valiant Dawn's sacrifice allowed the Alliance fleet to break through the enemy lines. One by one, the hegemony ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. The ancient empire that had terrorized the galaxy for generations was finally defeated. In the aftermath of the battle, Torres found himself addressing not just the Alliance forces, but representatives from across the galaxy. The victory had been costly, thousands of ships destroyed, millions of lives lost, but it had also been decisive. The hegemony was broken, and the galaxy was safe. We did not seek this war, he told the assembled beings. We wanted only to help those who could not help themselves. But when evil threatened the innocent, we stood together, human and alien, warrior and scientist. We proved that courage and compassion can triumph over fear and hatred. The formal ceremony took place on Earth, in the same city where the first distress signal had been received. Dr. Kyrillon, speaking for the entire galactic community, presented humanity with the highest honor her people could bestow. You have taught us that strength without kindness is meaningless, she said. That true power comes from protecting others, not dominating them. You are the guardians we never knew we needed, but Torres knew the work was not finished. There would always be new threats, new enemies, new innocent people who needed protection. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and evil never rested. As the ceremony ended, a young communications officer approached Torres with a familiar look in her eyes. Sir, we are receiving a distress signal from the Outer Rim. A peaceful colony is under attack. Torres smiled, remembering another young officer who had heard a similar call for help months ago. Prep the fleet, he ordered. Let's go save some lives. The Guardian shield and her escorts jumped to hyperspace, carrying the message that had become humanity's promise to the galaxy. If you need help, call us. We will come running. The age of human protection had begun, and the stars themselves seemed brighter for it. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other voices would cry out for help, and when they did, the Deathworlders would hear them first.